after one of your stories, I have something to chime in about.
All right. Well, couple interesting stories that came out just this week. We had one lady, Jeff, who had an amalgam filling that had somehow worked its way into the maxilla. The problem in reading the article is that the author of the article wasn't a dentist or a medical provider, so some of the mechanisms in which it ended up in that space is not 100% clear. Like, was it originally like aspirated in, or somehow they breathed it in and it got in the sinus? Was there an open exposure from an extraction and the
I'm
amalgam
sure it
fell
was a
out and it went
bucket
into the sinus?
Yeah.
I'm not 100% sure how it got out of the oral cavity and into the hard and soft tissues of the face, but that is where it ended up. And she had started to notice like some chronic pain and some kind of chronic sinusitis. Antibiotics usually would resolve it. She was an airline pilot, and she noticed it was always worse when she was flying, and then it would resolve when she got home. But there's also a lot of other issues that come along with flying too. So I think she just sort of chalked it up to that. She did discover the foreign object being lodged in that space, but elected to do no treatment at the time because it wasn't worth the surgeries and the complications, all that stuff. Well, the amalgam continued to move actually and started heading up the ethmoid. Can you imagine seeing the CT on this? And started migrating up, getting closer and closer to the orbit. She had issues with her eyes and had had previous surgery, so she was getting concerned and ultimately had the foreign object removed. I don't know what the PSA here is, because I'm not 100% sure how it ended up there in the first place. But
in
it
the
is,
ethmoid sinus.
yeah.
Okay.
But it didn't start there.
Yeah.
It didn't start there.
No,
It ended
it
up,
migrated.
it moved. So I think the moral of that story is at least that, if you have some type of event that occurs, the body is not a stagnant being, and these things have a way of, moving. I mean, I definitely know of women who've had IUDs placed that end up in their abdominal cavities and other places having to be surgically removed. So these foreign objects, what?
I said truth, girl.
Yeah, preach.
I
The next,
have a funny story before you go on to your next story.
Okay.
So you were talking about, that it migrated to the ethmoid sinus. So I have a funny story to tell about our good friend, Dr. Bobby Papert, who, like most of us, after we come out of dental school, might have a small tendency towards hypochondria after we learn about all these horrible things that can happen in pathology. And Bobby's at the emergency. I'm sorry, Bobby, for throwing this out there, but too bad. I just thought of it. It's happening.
He's an open book.
Yeah. So Bobby is at the emergency room one night, and the ER physician comes in, and Bobby goes, "Oh, I've had this horrible headache. I think there's something wrong with my ethmoid sinus." He says this to the ER physician, and of course the ER physician looks at him and goes, "Just point to it, buddy." We still will throw that out, like when we're hanging out,
show me where that is.
Just point to it, buddy.
Oh, Bobby.
We're not that smart. Okay, go ahead. I'm sorry, I had to interrupt.
That's okay. Yeah. So if anyone is hot on the market for clear aligner manufacturing equipment, 3 large industrial size 3D printers, and a variety of other assets, including a building in Tennessee, you might want to log in and look for the Smile Direct Club, who is now auctioning off all of their wares. So there's about $2 million worth of real estate that's on the market, about $10 million worth of dental supplies, which in addition includes a lot of their manufacturing equipment. So if you happen to be in the market or you want to start your own clear aligner company, today might be the day to go ahead and grab some of that really cheap equipment coming off of the Smile Direct Club auction.
Nice.
The next article
for us, me a little bit. I have to say that.
Of course, we're all a little giddy. Everybody's a little giddy on this, right?
How to say that.
The next article comes out of the ADA. They are asking for support for a new act called the SHARE Act. This act is being kind of push by the ADA to open up portability of background and criminal information for individuals. According to the article, at times the FBI might not be forthcoming with information about individuals' criminal background history. And the ADA is involved with this. You might wonder why. Because with the portability acts that are currently in place, the compact and reciprocity and other issues where we're trying to get individuals licensed in other states, if we can't get access to quick background information, it delays the speed at which they can provide licensure to those individuals. So, to increase access to care and to get those individuals licensed and operational in the states, they're asking for more transparency and expediency when they're trying to access information about those individuals in order to ensure public health safety and that they are good community members and have no major issues on their background. They just want access to it in a quicker fashion. And I can attest, even when I did my first licensure in North Carolina, it takes forever to get your backgrounds back. And especially if you've lived in multiple states, you can add potentially months to the process of getting that. So I think that would certainly be helpful. We have a political figure who's in a bit of a hot seat for dental news this week. South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem was sued on March 13th from a group called Travelers United out of Washington, D.C. for advertising illegally a dental office out of Sugar Land, Texas. Now, I believe she seeks care at Sugar Land, Texas, did a video promoting the practice on her socials, maybe or maybe not, did not disclose if it was a paid advertisement or not. And so now she's under the hot seat a bit, or in the hot seat a bit, for whether or not this is an undisclosed paid advertisement. So we'll see how that goes. I don't know whether, it's tough to say, really, you know.
It's really interesting, though. It's such a contentious atmosphere right now in politics.
Correct.
And I feel like everybody is just trying to leverage the legal system way more than they ought to.
That's right.
In all directions. And it's just getting tough to watch anymore.
The last thing, we actually referenced a few articles last week, but we're going to reference this one. New research that will be presented at the International Association for Dental, Oral, and Craniofacial Research is starting.
Who was that?
Yeah, you got that. The IADOC, maybe R.
Okay.
The International Association for Dental, Oral, and Craniofacial Research.
Nicely done.
Get all that?
Yep.
This interesting article is starting to presuppose that individuals with self-reported penicillin allergies, as well as implants that measure less than 10 millimeters, have a higher failure rate. Now, I don't think that 10 millimeters surprises anyone in the world of dentistry, but the penicillin allergy could be quite interesting if there's some underlying correlation between, an immune response and titanium, for instance. So we'll wait to see.